If someone asks, "Why are you so sensitive?" after hurting you, they're not actually asking a question. They're executing a psychological maneuver that flips the script and makes "why you" the problem. And there's a specific reason manipulators use this exact phrasing. By the end of this video, you'll never fall for it again, and you'll understand the dark psychology behind why it works on 9 out of 10 people. You're in a conversation. Something feels off. They said something that hurt, but suddenly you're explaining yourself, apologizing, defending your reaction. How did that happen? Psychologist Dr. George Simon calls these covert aggressive tactics. Questions designed to look innocent, but engineered to control. According to research from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, 64% of emotional manipulation starts with a single question. Not a statement, not an accusation, a question, and most people don't see it coming. This is the crown jewel of manipulation. Here's why it's genius: it forces you to defend your emotional reality. The moment you answer, you've accepted their premise, that you're the problem, not what they said or did. Real example, Sarah's partner forgot their anniversary for the 3rd year. When she expressed hurt, he asked, "Why are you so sensitive about dates?" Notice what happened. Her legitimate disappointment became a character flaw. She spent the next hour explaining why anniversaries matter instead of him addressing why he forgot. Dr. Christine Louise de Canonville, expert on narcissistic abuse, explains this is called emotional invalidation, making someone question their right to feel. But here's what most people miss: the question itself contains an embedded assumption. It presupposes sensitivity is your trait, not that their behavior was insensitive. You're defending against an accusation disguised as curiosity. The counter: don't answer. Redirect: I'm not sensitive. What you said was hurtful. Let's talk about that. This one's insidious because it weaponizes humor. Research from the University of Western Ontario found that 71% of hostile statements are disguised as jokes to avoid accountability. Here's the pattern: they say something cruel. You react. They immediately label it "just joking" and ask why you can't take a joke. You're now in a double bind. Either you lack a sense of humor or you're oversensitive. Either way, you lose. Jake's coworker constantly made jokes about his weight in meetings. When Jake finally confronted him, the response was immediate: "Wow, can't you take a joke?" Everyone else laughs. Now Jake looks like the uptight one. The cruel comment erased from the conversation. Psychologist Dr. Stephen Stosny calls this humor as a weapon. The question isn't seeking information, it's establishing dominance. They get to hurt you and make you the villain for reacting. Wait until point 4. That's where this pattern gets truly disturbing. The manipulator knows full well it wasn't funny. They're testing how much they can get away with. When you accept their framing, you give permission for escalation. This question appears when you have reasonable concerns or set boundaries, and it's designed to make you feel guilty for having basic discernment. Your partner comes home at 3 a.m. smelling like perfume for the 5th time. You ask about it. They respond, "Don't you trust me?" Suddenly, the evidence doesn't matter. Your trust, or lack thereof, is on trial. According to Dr. Harriet Breaker, author, "Who's pulling your strings?" This is guilt manipulation at its finest. The question shifts focus from their questionable behavior to your alleged character flaw. Trust becomes the issue, not trustworthiness. Here's the twist: people who genuinely deserve trust don't weaponize the concept. They demonstrate trustworthiness through actions, not by interrogating your doubt. A trustworthy person would ask, "What did I do that made you concerned?" A manipulator asks, "Don't you trust me?" One makes space for your feelings. The other criminalizes them. See the difference? This one activates when you reference a pattern of behavior. They hurt you repeatedly. You mention it. They ask this question. And now discussing their pattern is your problem. Marcus's friend borrowed money 6 times and never repaid him. When Marcus hesitated on the 7th request, his friend asked, "Why do you always have to bring up the past? I thought we moved past that." Marcus ended up apologizing for remembering. But here's what most people miss. And this is the shocking part. Manipulators use this question because patterns reveal truth. One incident is explainable. A pattern is character. By making you focus only on the present moment, they erase the evidence trail. Dr. Ramani Durvasula, clinical psychologist specializing in narcissism, explains that preventing pattern recognition is crucial to maintaining control. Your memory becomes the enemy. They need you to treat each incident as isolated, never connecting the dots. The most effective response: the past predicts the future. That's not bringing it up, that's learning from it. The closer cousin to Fate 4, but more aggressive. This question suggests you're holding grudges when you're actually protecting yourself. Here's the psychology. Research from the University of Miami shows that 83% of manipulators label boundary setting as holding grudges. Why? Because if you let it go, you let them off the hook. No accountability, no consequences, no change. Rachel's mother-in-law repeatedly criticized her parenting. After Rachel established boundaries about unsolicited advice, the mother-in-law asked, "Why can't you just let it go? You're tearing this family apart." Notice the escalation? Rachel's self-protection became family destruction. This question works because it taps into cultural pressure to forgive and forget. But forgiveness doesn't require trust restoration. You can forgive someone and still maintain boundaries. The manipulator knows this. That's exactly why they conflate the two. Here's what all 5 questions have in common. They transfer responsibility from the person who caused harm to the person who felt it. They're not seeking understanding, they're seeking compliance. And once you see this pattern, you'll notice it everywhere. The shocking truth I promised. These questions work because they exploit your desire to be reasonable. Manipulators count on your empathy, your self-doubt, your willingness to question yourself. The moment you hear these phrases, you're no longer in a conversation. You're in a power struggle, and the person asking isn't confused. They're strategic. Dr. Martha Stout, author of The Sociopath Next Door, found that chronic manipulators use an average of 3-4 of these questions regularly. If you're hearing multiple trap questions from the same person, you're not dealing with poor communication. You're dealing with intentional control. Have you heard any of these questions from someone in your life? Comment below which one you've encountered most. I read every response. And if this opened your eyes to a pattern you've been missing, share this video with someone who needs to see it.